Welcome to the independent world of books. Indie Author Chat is a channel that explores different authors that you may never have heard of. And today we'll be talking with Natasha Link. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Anna J. Waller, an independent author, but today's not about me. Today is about my guest and Natasha Link. Natasha, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Hi, I'm Natasha Link. I am a freelance writer. I also have a blog, and I'm writing a book. I don't know.
So tell me a little bit about what is copywriting? Because I don't really know. I know that I copyrighted my manuscript, but I don't know what a copywriter does.
Okay, so it's not that at all.
Okay, so I'm way off.
Copywriting with an R and copywriting with a W are two totally different things.
Okay.
So if you don't know this, copywriting is like business writing. So if a client wants me to put content on their website, that's web copy. If a client wants me to write a blog for their business geared towards their audience and their clients, that's copywriting. If somebody wants me to do a product sell sheet for something that their business sells, that's copywriting, content writing. There's so many different things that can go into it, but
that category.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't have a defined niche in it yet. I'm a generalist. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of everything. So
if I needed, let's say, like if I needed a professionally done blurb for the back of my book, would that be considered a copywriting thing that I would reach out to you to do?
Yep, I could do that.
Awesome. Okay, great information. And then I wanted to you said SEO.
Search engine optimization.
I thought that's what it was. Okay. So how do you make, what does that mean for the people who don't know, which probably a lot
so
of
basically
us don't.
It's just trying to write content that it includes keywords, but there's other, it's kind of detailed, but you go into it with the mindset of trying to write things that rank higher in Google. So you think about things that people would search for and you incorporate those into the document, and sometimes you repeat parts that people would look for more so that they rank higher in search engine results, because you want to be on that first page.
Gotcha.
So most people don't look beyond the first page of search results.
I'm one of them, maybe page 2, but that's about it. Yeah. So if you were writing a book, say about a diesel repair, I'm just gonna pick something really random, then you would be able to write the copy for the website that would help them to rank higher in Google.
Yes.
For someone looking for a book on Diesel repair.
Exactly.
Okay. So you, one of the things that first of all, for you guys that don't follow Natasha, she is one of the kindest and most awesome people on Twitter. One of the first people that actually was kind enough to follow me back, and she's just awesome. But she does this other thing where she writes insightful, heartfelt articles for an online journal called The Elephant. And do you want to tell people how you got started doing that and a little bit
Sure.
about it?
So it was just kind of random. I started my blog and started to get comfortable just with that. And then I saw an advertisement for Elephant Journal on Facebook, and I was like, what's this? And I looked at it, and it looked like, and pretty much anyone could post on there. Now, and then if they like it, if they like what you wrote, then they'll promote it to their magazine section. So the first one I wrote on there didn't get promoted, but the second one did, and pretty much all of them since. And
you write some good stuff on there that has resonated with me personally, and I know that has probably resonated with a lot of people personally. And I guess that's you have your bachelor's in psychology, which has really helped. I mean, some of these articles, guys, check them out, because it's like relationship wise, or my favorite one that I've read of yours is the one about it's okay to be an outcast, because it's, I mean, it pretty much mirrored my childhood growing up. I just wanted to put that out there, that yeah, that was an awesome article.
thank you so much. And it was something that I didn't even really think that much about the moving so much and how that affected me when I was young, until I picked up Brene Brown's book and was like crying as I was reading it, because I was like, oh my gosh, I felt the same way. This is how I'm feeling. And I wondered how many other people felt that way. How many other people felt like they stopped forming close bonds with friendships because they knew they'd have to leave them, and things like that. And how that kind of always makes you feel like, even though you might be outgoing and like make friends easily, sometimes those friendships lack that depth because you're protecting yourself from getting hurt.
And that can translate into interpersonal relationships, not only at work, but also the most intimate of relationships, which is with your life partner. You may not quite feel that depth of connection because you're just kind of conditioned not to. So I found a lot of interest in reading that, because I was like, well, that explains so much, because I did move around so often as a kid. And then once I finally got settled somewhere, it almost didn't feel real. I kept waiting for something to change. So I have kind of an anticipatory anxiety where I'm afraid of change now, because I've had to deal with it for so long. So
I felt kind of the opposite. Like, all right, it's time to leave. Like, what do you mean we're not going to move again? Like, what is this? I need a change.
So what other blogs do you do? Do you have not just, you have your own, you have your website, you have your blog on there? But
I don't actually have my blog on my website. It's when I first started my blog, when I was just starting out. So I was just kind of getting my feet wet, I guess, so to speak. And so when I look back on some of my first blog posts, they're kind of cringy.
I do that with
I'm
Twitter.
like, oh my God, there's so many semicolons. So I'd almost have to go back and edit them all before I'd want to really put them out into the world. But I share all my Elephant Journal articles on there because I do have a little bit of a following on WordPress too. And I put my poems on there as well. And I put my poems on Instagram, occasionally on Twitter, but yeah.
So you write insightful, psychological, blog posts, as well as poetry, as well as copywriting, SEO. So what don't you do?
I really am just kind of trying everything out, and I realized that, and at this point, I'm willing to take on any project because I feel like anything I do helps me grow both as a writer and as a person. I mean, the other day, a guy messaged me and wanted me to do a script. And I was like,
what?
I have never done that before. And I'm like, well, what the hell? I'll try it. And he loved it. And it was like, that was fun. And I encourage writers to try new things because when I first started writing, it was purely nonfiction personal essays. And now I'm doing fiction. And I didn't know I was going to write fiction or love it as much as I do. And so what happened was I started doing these flash fiction writing prompts with my writers group once a month. And that kind of led to me writing an entire book that was purely accidental, but these same characters were showing up in every prompt that we were doing. And they were in my group was like, you need to write their story. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And then one day I was like, well, I'll just start and maybe it'll just be a short little piece. And then it kept going. And now I'm at over 60,000 words and
whoa,
almost done with the book. So
that is awesome. And so have you decided yet what route you want to take? If you want to go, if you want to try and go traditional publishing, or if you want to self-publish?
I'm really torn. I think I might try querying and try the traditional route for a couple months, but I really want to get this book out there. It's a steamy romance book, but there's a lot of depth to it, and it's important to me to get it out there. So if it's taking too long, I'm kind of an impatient person. If it's taking too long, I might just self-publish it. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So you mentioned about the book having a lot of depth. Do you feel like having a background in psychology helps you to create more meaningful character arcs? How does that help in building relationships, healthy relationships in your writing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes my characters more human, more relatable, more complex. Definitely, as one of my beta readers says, like, you are so good at writing those little quirks and idiosyncrasies that make the characters unique and bring them to life. And I think that having that background in psychology definitely plays a role in that.
Well, that's how you fall in love with a character a lot of times, is by those just small little things that make them, stand out amongst the crowd of secondary characters. Maybe not your main character, but secondary characters that play off of your main character. So
yeah, I think so.
So your work in progress right now is it's with beta readers. You know, have you had a good experience with betas,
Yeah.
with your beta readers? I I've struggled to find a good critique partner, and a good beta reader. Do you have any tips for me? For anyone in general that's looking to kind of set up that sounding board, because I think you need that as an author to hear. You know, I know that you know you've had some people with maybe not that positive of feedback, that you have to, guys, as an author, you have to be able to take that negative feedback and say, I'm looking at it from an author's point of view.
Yeah.
They're looking at it from a reader's point of view. I need to listen to them.
Yeah. Well, and it's always your choice, but it's good to create connections with people that you trust and that you feel they have a comfortable relationship with. Two of my beta readers are other Elephant Journal writers. So we also look at each other's articles and stuff too. So then it was like, well, do you want to look at my book and give me your thoughts on that? And the great thing is they're not afraid to tell me what they think. Like one of them is like, she's nuts about my main character. And I'm like, yeah, she's a little bit, but you know, she grows and changes through the story. But
I know sometimes you just want to say, wait, it gets better. Just wait, finish reading it, and then we'll talk about it, because you don't know what's coming up. I do.
Right. And I've been sending it a chapter at a time because I feel like that's less overwhelming for people to read.
That's true.
And
that's true.
I mean, I know when someone sends me their whole manuscript, I'm like, oh boy. So I just send a chapter at a time, and then they can give me notes on that chapter, what their thoughts were, and it just seems to work better. But I have found some really great great writing critique partners that are willing to give me their actual thoughts. And sometimes I disagree. Sometimes I'm just like, nope, I'm not changing that.
And I will agree with that. I had to take some pretty harsh criticism in the beginning with Garcane, with the love interest. I learned what a cinnamon roll is. I've never heard that term before, but apparently it's a love interest that is kind of a pushover.
Oh, I've never heard that either.
I haven't either. And it was from I found my beta readers on Facebook in the groups that my demographic that I was marketing. I knew I would be marketing towards. And so their input and their feedback from their point of view was essential to me. And I learned what a cinnamon roll is, and it killed me because they said, you know, Roan, he's kind of a cinnamon roll. And I was like, so I had to go back. And once I objectively looked at the manuscript, they're kind of right. So sometimes it helps to get that tough love feedback.
Yeah, and sometimes it is helpful because even if you disagree with it, you think, okay, what are they not seeing about this character that I see in my head? And how can I get that across more? What can I add? What kind of scene could I add here so that they see that he is kind and not egotistical? And when he says this, he's joking. He's not being a player, like type of those little things that they're like, well, she wouldn't like if he said that to her because of the emotional state she's in. And I'm like, but you don't know her. And she would like that, actually. And then I have to figure out what I can do from point A to point B to make that more realistic.
Yeah, and Yeah, I've definitely I've seen that where I've missed a couple of things where I missed opportunities to show the character arc or character development in the specific character, and going back, then I was able to flesh that out a little bit more. And I don't know about you, but I see so many people that say, oh my God, my manuscript is 170,000 words and I've got to cut it down so badly. I have the opposite problem. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at 60,000 words right now, and my goal was to get to 80, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there, at least with this first draft. Now, as I go back through, I might be able to add detail here and there, but I'm also not going to force it to
Right.
be bigger. But yeah, I'm more of an underwriter than an overwriter. But I edit as I go too, so I'm not just like I read back through I've already revised the first couple of chapters a few times based on things people have said, and I'm not even finished writing the book yet. I'm just kind of breaking all the rules. But
That's the good thing about writing, is that they're your rules to break. And sometimes people break the rules, I've always heard you never do an epilogue, that it's just never done well. And but for me, I've seen epilogues that have been executed exceptionally well, that are from a different character's point of view, that change your entire perception of the character, or of a character, or of the story that you've read so far, and makes you want to reread the book and see it in a different light. So I think that whenever it comes to rules, then you know, they're yours to do with what you want.
yeah, I mean, I think that epilogues can be great sometimes depending on how a book ends. And if a book ends and it's kind of open ended, and you want more, but the author doesn't feel like they have enough to write a whole sequel, then maybe they just write an epilogue to say where they are now. Like, okay, a year or two later, this is where they're at, type of thing. Depending, I don't know. I'm not sold one way or the other. I mean, I think it's a very personal choice for a writer. I don't think I get really upset when people say no adverbs too, because sometimes you need them.
Yes, and I have a character that is uses in dialogue, actually, and like, because that's her personality. And I see never use actually or like, the pro writing aid or Grammarly always wants to take it out, and I'm like, yeah, that's her personality, and she's all like and actually. And so, I'm like, you have to choose to keep your book. So
Right. Well, and dialogue is so different too.
yeah.
I mean,
Dialogue
real
breaks
people
the rules.
don't speak perfectly.
Yeah.
Real people have errors in grammar and they say weird things. So dialogue's a different beast, I think.
Yeah. So when do you have a target time for finishing your manuscript? Are we going to see something from you soon?
I want to finish it, at least this first draft, within the next month or two. And then I don't know how much time I'll take away from it. I know that they recommend taking time away from it before tackling the rewrite. I don't know that I'll do that because I've already been working on the rewrite as I'm writing. So I kind of just want to keep going with it. And, that creative flow of energy that I have, I don't plan anything out for my story.
I was going to ask, are you a planner or a pantser? Because I'm a total pantser.
I am a pantser as well. I get just as surprised by the twists in this story as my readers will be, because I don't see it coming. I just am writing, and then the characters make a decision, and I'm like, what? And then I'm like,
Yes!
okay, we're gonna go with this.
Exactly. That's one of the great things about being a pantser to me, is that my characters will sometimes take me places that I didn't. I mean, I might have to get them back on track sometimes but they'll take on a life and a form of their own whenever you're a pantser. I feel too constrained by sitting down and plotting something out. I like for the story to just kind of organically explode.
Yes, definitely. I feel the same way.
That's fun. It's fun.
It's way fun, and and I'm just not. I don't know. Just I don't outline any of my articles or anything either. I just go with it, and then you shape it back up as through the editing process. You know.
Right. Exactly. I saw a quote not too long ago that I totally agree with, and I loved it. If you don't write anything at all, there's nothing for you to fix.
Right.
So, I mean, you go into, sometimes I have to go into a chapter or a completely new manuscript saying, I know at first this is going to suck. I know that I'm not going to get it right the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time. But maybe by the fifth or sixth time of going through and revising it, and you even admitted that you're starting to fall in love with the editing phase.
I am. I am. I didn't think I'd ever say that. I really didn't. At first, I hated editing. I just wanted to write, and I wanted to have someone else edit it for me. I didn't want to look at it again. But now I'm really enjoying it. Actually, like I look at it as like polishing it up, like spit shining it to make it perfect, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. If it is what you make it. So if you go into it with drudgery like I did in the beginning, it was painful. The revising process and the editing process. I look at it completely different now that I'm on the third book, because I'm like, where can I find opportunities to flesh out this part of this character, or add some interesting twist that will come up later, like an Easter egg, like hiding things, as I'm going along and editing. So now I've kind of started to get where it's fun. But yes, in the beginning I dreaded it. Yeah, it was horrible, but it's gotten better.
Yeah.
And then you read through it and you're like, oh, all of that hard work was totally worth it, because it reads so much smoother, and you're chuckling to yourself whenever you find the little thing that you put in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
What got you into wanting to, from writing poetry and writing and the elephant, to saying, hey, I'm gonna write a full-on 60,000 word romance novel?
I don't know.
Perfect answer.
I had planned on writing an entirely different book. So I actually have like 2 other books that I want to write at some point. One would be more like spiritual, inspirational. And then the other one would be more like a memoir style self-help book, kind of in line with my Elephant Journal articles. The spiritual inspirational one, I'm undecided whether to write it from a nonfiction standpoint or a fiction standpoint. But my friend who is helping me edit my book says I'm a primo fiction writer and I should write it fiction. So I might go that route. I don't know. I guess it'll just take on its own shape. But yeah, this book was entirely unplanned. And but it's been really fun to write, and it's really fun to hear feedback from people who enjoy reading it and getting their insight to how I can make it better. And sometimes I take their advice and sometimes I don't, like you said, but it's been a fun process, and I think everyone should try something different. Everyone should try something, like if you only write sci-fi or fantasy or nonfiction history, I don't know, you should always try a different genre. And because I had never planned on writing this, and it's been the most fun writing I've done in my entire life. And if I would never tried, I would never have found that out. So
See, and I've stayed with the I did a thriller that I briefly put out into the world and then took back, because I keep coming back to fantasy, and young adult fantasy, new adult fantasy specifically, because I think that that's what I grew up kind of reading, was as an escape from reality. I know as a psychologist, you probably read all kinds of stuff into that, but yeah, it's fun to imagine, especially right now, anywhere but Earth, or any situation but Earth. So I don't know if it's like this for you, but even just the writing process is almost like an escape.
yep, it is. Yeah, I think everybody kind of needs a little escape from reality with everything that's going on in the world right now. And I don't know, I also think because we're not getting that socialization, that interaction with other people, a lot of us, I don't know about you, I'm an extrovert, so I really enjoy socializing with people and being out and about. So I'm happy that I have this because it occupies my mind and my time.
Yes.
And I might be going a little bit crazier otherwise if I didn't write, if I didn't have this hobby, this passion for this. I don't know, I'd probably be nuts.
I completely agree. That's how I feel about it too. Is that see, I am an introvert. I'm a forced extrovert because of work, because of the line of work that I've been in. But as far as my default personality, I'm very much an introvert, and so, but I have to still have that without having a whole lot of human contact, which, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert right now, that's lacking. And so there has to be some way to exercise the mind, and to kind of, even if you live vicariously through the physical interactions of your characters, you're still, I think that kind of helps. It helps me in a way to do that.
Well, and just getting to talk about it with other writers and in the writing community, and getting to have that interaction, at least that way, I don't know about you, but I think it's super fun, and it's fun to hear other people's ideas. And
oh yes,
and I mean, that's why I love Twitter so much, because there's always something interesting that somebody's posting about or asking about, or there's always something, some conversation starter or some idea or some thought, and it's just,
and
I
you're
probably
really
spend way too much time on there, but
and you're really good at that, by the way. Posing thought-provoking questions, or ways that I really love those questions that challenge you to think about a preconceived notion that you might have had in a different way. And I think that just the simple act of doing that for a Twitter question can sometimes spark creativity And you're like, now that I'm thinking about it that way, that would make a pretty good twist or arc and a story. And then before you know it, then you've got, you know, something already brewing. I know you said that you've got a couple of a couple of WIPs, work in progresses, that are on the back burner.
Yeah.
And I think everybody does. I know I've got a couple that, how do you keep track of them? Because I keep a notebook and I just jot down nonsensical. If anybody were to read it, they would probably have me committed. But
yeah, I'm so chaotic. I will open up a Word document and just type some random stuff and it's there. And then like, if I'm like right now, I'm pretty devoted to my book, but if there's time, I have like so many half-written articles too that I go back to, and sometimes they'll be like, I want to be finished. And I'm like, okay, I'll finish you. Because like that, there was one I wrote a while back. Don't we all have daddy issues?
okay. Yeah, I read that.
I started that months and months and months ago and just left it sitting forever. And then the other weekend, it popped up in my mind that I should finish it, and I did, and it was a good article for a lot of people. I think it resonated, whether they had a similar issue or not. I think a lot of people have emotional unavailability issues stemming from their relationships with their parents. So
yeah, I can definitely agree with you. And as I said before, your articles that you write for The Elephant, I enjoy so much. I try and share them because they that's okay. No, your articles that you write for The Elephant are so insightful, and I do try and share them.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
No, they are, because you write them in such a way that it's not only intelligent but relatable. So you almost feel like it's a friend talking to you instead of just reading an article, which is a talent in and of itself, for you to be able to do that. And like I said, having a background in psychology definitely helps in that.
Thank you. You just made my day.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and trying this out with me, and all of that. So hopefully, guys, if you know, there's anybody else that's interested in being on the channel, if you want to shoot them my way and whatnot. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close out?
Just, you know, if anybody else needs, what was that?
So I can give you back your day.
So just if anybody else needs any help with any copywriting stuff or social media, I've started to do some social media management too for a couple clients. So if anybody needs help with that, send me a message.
So guys, I'm going to have all of Natasha's information down below, the links to Twitter and Facebook and the Elephant Journal that we've been talking about, ways that you can get in touch with her if you have any questions, or if you're interested in anything that that she's doing with copywriting, which is copywriting with an R, right?
W.
I need more caffeine. Okay, copywriting with a W. Then you'll have all of her links and any way to contact her in the description below. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.